The easiest way to get started looking at animation is to start with the building blocks. For example, to start with shapes. We'll create a new application called Shapes. And to look at shapes, we're going to take out our grid and replace it with a canvas. Canvas allows us to place the shape precisely using absolute positioning from the top left corner, which is 0, 0. The first shape that we're going to create is a rectangle. We need to give the rectangle a number of properties. First off, we need to give it a width, and then we need to give it a height, and in this case we're going to have a tall, skinny rectangle. In order to see the rectangle, we need to give it a color, a fill, and let's set the fill in this case to blue. And notice that when I'm filling in the color, IntelliSense offers all the predefined colors for me, and there are a great many predefined colors to choose from. When we look at brushes, we'll look at how to do slightly more complex fills, but for now, we're going to go ahead and fill it with blue, and then we need to give it a location. If we don't give it a location, it'll place it in the upper left-hand corner. But we're going to go ahead and say that we would like this to be 50 pixels from the top. So we say canvas top equal 50, and we want it to be 50 pixels from the left. So we'll say canvas left equal 50. When we run the application, we see that we have a rectangle of the dimensions that we described that is colored blue, and that is 50 pixels from the top and from the left. We can also give the rectangle an outline. The outline is referred to as the stroke. And we can set the stroke to be the same color as the rest of the rectangle, or we can give it an offsetting color. Let's give this one a yellow stroke. We also need to set the stroke thickness. By default, that will be set to 0, and so we wouldn't see it. We're going to give it a stroke thickness of 5, which is a somewhat thick stroke. Run the application. And notice that we have a yellow border around our blue rectangle. A rectangle that has the same width and height will be square. Let's change the height to 50. And while we're at it, let's change the stroke to red so it stands out a little more. And run that again. And now we have a square surrounded by a thick border. The second primitive shape that's available to you is an ellipse. An ellipse takes all of the same properties as a rectangle. Here I've created an ellipse that is 100 by 50, filled with green. We'll give it an offset from the left of 150 so that it won't overlap with our rectangle. We'll set the stroke to red on this one as well, but make it somewhat thinner, setting it to a stroke of 2. Stroke thickness of 2. And when we run the application, you can see our ellipse. An ellipse that has the same height and width is a circle. So I can easily change that ellipse into a circle by setting the width and the height to the same dimensions. We can see each of these not only by running them, but by flipping over to Design View. And here I can see my circle now with its red border. The third major way to create a shape is to use a line. A line is defined between 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. Here we'll have our line start at the 0, 0 point and come in at a straight angle to the offset 25, 50. To see the line, we need to set the stroke color, and we set the thickness of the line by setting the stroke thickness. Let's run our application to see that line that we just created. You can imagine that you can put lines together to create shapes. In addition to the line, there is a polyline. The polyline takes a series of points and draws a line from point to point. Here I've created a polyline with a set of 4 sets of points. We're going to start at offset 100, 100, go to 200, 150, then back to 125, 175, and out to 175, 250. The stroke will be blue, and the thickness will be 5. Let's run that. And you can see our polyline has created a series, in this case, zigzagging lines. If we change our polyline to a polygon and give the polygon a fill, then when we run the application, we get the same design as before. However, all of the spaces, internal spaces, are filled. To really take advantage of shapes, we want to open this application in Blend. We can open the same application that we're already working on, and Blend can read that application and bring it in exactly as we already have it. We can then turn to Blend's myriad shape capabilities and take any of these shapes and draw them directly onto our canvas. For example, if we want to draw a pie, we can click on pie and just draw that right onto the canvas, shaping it the way we like, and then giving it a fill color by coming over to the color bar and choosing the exact shade we want, either visually or by filling in the RGB values or the complete hex value.